The only real hope and change you'll ever get is from God. It's going to come from the Lord, or it's not going to come at all. It's going to come when you admit that you can't do it and that you've got to have His help.
The nation, the nation is in a situation here. I mean, earlier I read about the intelligence leaks that the president says are not true. That we're not running out of artillery, that we've got plenty stockpiles, and we're manufacturing as fast as we can, and we have what we need. But can you address that, Mike, in any way? There's why these
we have been using up quite a bit for some time.
Yeah.
And there's bound to be shortages here and there, but there's an appearance of strength that obviously everybody wants projected. The truth of it is, if we expend lots of munitions, and we are involved in quite a few things, we're going to run into that problem of shortages.
Right.
And it will begin to show. It will force a change of strategy. But
well, let me ask you.
I think it's maintainable right now. Right, it could become costly for several reasons, but shortages, that's something that we faced before. It could be something that could become apparent, but I think they're maintaining as much as possible, given the expansion of what's happening. But Pastor Paul, with the spread of what's happening right now, that could deplete into nothing in little to no time.
Yeah, Mike, one thing I do know that last night that in Kyiv, in Ukraine, Russia did get 28 intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ballistic missiles into Kyiv, and did a significant amount of damage, as you know, and killed 17 people. And that's because, and Ukraine admitted they didn't have no way to shoot them down. They were able to shoot down the drones in the drone attacks from Russia, but they could not shoot down those. They've run out. And is that part, you think, maybe what we're hearing in the press that's saying, hey, it's the reason they've run out is because we got to hang on to what we got?
Yeah, Ukraine that's a rough position they're in right now. And I tell you what, they're hanging on by a needle and thread. If the world continues to expand as far as conflict, what in the world would they really do? What would they do? Because they simply don't have enough of a defense against Russia. Russia has access to quite a bit. They really have not touched some of their main munitions, and my goodness, it's such a terrible situation. It is a wake-up call, when you read something like that or find out something like that. But what's happening now is spreading. As it spreads, the casualty rate will go up. More stories will naturally be headlined. The sad part is, it's still one of those politicized issues. And it's very difficult for the average person to know the truth of what the real story is. They'll have to find out through, stories like the one you just read. Somebody's hit and casualties pile up or something like that. But we're in a time like no other, Pastor Paul, and it seems like conflict is bound to break out in too many places.
Well, the fact that today the Houthis were able to kill 30 of Yemen's soldiers and wound another 50, and then at the same time, the Houthis are able to fire on ships in the Red Sea, and the Strait of Hormuz is still not open, no matter what anybody says. This thing is not looking the way people thought it would be. I mean, certainly the Situation Room is probably spending more time than normal trying to figure out what is going to be our strategy going forward. I mean, I think the American people are probably wondering, what is the strategy?
Right. And it's, which is normal, but when you think of Iran, how in the world can that nation continue to cause such turmoil in the Middle East? What we're dealing with is not completely natural. It is to sum it up,
Right.
It's not completely natural. And because there's no way a country like that could be holding on for so long if they had nothing, if they're defeated. If they're truly defeated, they wouldn't be such an issue. But what they're doing is spreading,
Yeah.
Their ideology is starting to spread. And you have countries like Saudi Arabia jumping into the fray.
Yeah.
Other countries have to hold on to what they have. Hostilities are spreading like wildfire. It's only a matter of time before this entire conflict consumes just about every nation and goes to a brand new level. And that's only a matter of time, a very short time it looks like, but a matter of time nonetheless.
And as you're talking about these things, we realize that Israel is still getting serious threats out of Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. That doesn't seem to be ended. And so this, as you say, and you got to think that, how does Iran hang on? Well, they've got to be being funded now by the Chinese, maybe the Russians, and even the North Koreans, and I don't know, maybe others that are involved in this. I wrote in my book Revelation 9/11. I wrote about the vortex of evil. I call it the vortex of evil, and it seems like that's what it is. And Iran is proving that maybe they can't defeat the massive power of the United States Army and the U.S. military, but they don't have to defeat our military. What they have to do is defeat our will, the American political system. And do you feel that while they're doing it from a military of terrorism on the Middle East and maybe Europe and even America, politically we got guys winning elections, communist and radical Islamists and super socialists, like, linked together. I mean, we are seeing this republic, the United States of America, seems to be in the most critical time in our nation's history. Am I wrong? Am I overstating this?
You're absolutely right. And what's so sad is these people can't. For example, New York. Some of the folks who just won the recent election, they can't win without the people. And the people are becoming sympathetic to the cause of Iran. That's wild. Can you imagine that? A free nation who is at odds with a nation of a different ideology, is the people of that nation, of the USA, are altering their ideology. Showing massive sympathy towards our enemies. This is what we're facing. It's almost like the politicians are going to find themselves on an island where they and they alone believe in their own ideology, while the people are demanding change, but not the change in the direction of democracy, of a true democracy, but a full adoption of, let's go ahead and face it, a full adoption of an entirely different faith is the direction people are going.
I mean, I know you're right, and it is kind of overwhelmingly stunning to me, but the Trojan horse approach during the Biden administration, especially when 15 million people, we don't know how many people actually came to the open borders, and out of that, we don't know how many of them were military age, came in out of the Middle East and out of Africa and out of Asia, who have a total different approach on what to do here. It's almost like the Trojan horse effect is working. They're using social media. They're using they're buying up our churches and setting up mosques. They're preaching a different message, and they're not telling the American public how women are mistreated in Saudi Arabia, or how they're mistreated in Iran, or how they're mistreated by the Taliban in Afghanistan. They're not telling them how young girls are jihadi brides. this is being left off the docket. It's not being shared, and nobody's really, unless somebody brings it up, I guess me and you, how are they going to ever know?
Yeah, it's something to see. We're getting to a time, first of all, that people are going to have to make a choice. They can either have the illusion of prosperity within an ideology that will end up being bondage and captivity, or they can stand where they are. And often when you're standing for something right, you're going to have to fight opposition of popularity, be these popular ideas that swallow up the youth. Because the youth are rebelling. They're doing two things. They're rebelling against the current way of government, right? They don't want to be connected to it. I'm beginning to notice also anything that looks like how the government used to be or is right now, they're rejecting completely.
Yeah.
The young kids only see chaos. They hear chaos. There comes a time where they're going to have to put politics aside.
Yeah.
If the youth continue to hear this fracturing of our government, because let's go ahead and face it, government is not presenting itself as unified. They're presenting themselves like two parents arguing on a continual basis. Well, two parents that argue on a continual basis, that causes a broken home.
Yep.
And in this case, it's causing the children to want to have different parents, is what they're doing. So anybody who can offer them a home that is half as peaceful as what they're seeing now, they're opting to take. But what they don't know are the repercussions, right? They're looking for quiet or prosperity, that they're tired of suffering. And what they don't know is that they're going freely into bondage. They are adopting these Islamic ideologies right here in America. This is the first. And I have to bring this down to faith. There are many rejecting the faith of Christianity, right? Simply because they believe it's the problem. And this is growing more and more and more and more. They really do believe that Christianity is the issue because of how things have been run so far. And so they're blaming that on Christianity or anything these people represent right now. Speaking to those in government that are doing things that people don't quite understand. They don't understand that the border had to be shut down, right? Yeah. It had to be some sort of control mechanism had to be put in place. They don't understand that sometimes you have to filter through the people to get rid of those who are really, bent on destroying a nation. Right. They don't understand that process. They certainly don't know about the consequences of not doing anything.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they don't know they're adopting this ideology, this socialist type ideology in full, and that's what they're demanding.
That's exactly right. And we're going to talk some more about weather in a minute here in a second, but there's a couple of things also, Mike. They can't figure out how in the world that Dr. Fauci can show up at Congress, give a 15-minute speech, and then can't answer one question 111 times. He can't tell us the color of the carpet, what day it is, what the color of his tie. And he's the face of science. He's the one that said, "I'm Mr. Science." And that's not setting well with the American public. If he's not held in contempt of Congress, I know that the Senate committee voted that he should be, and that's going to go to the floor now. And the other thing is this Epstein thing. There's no other way around this, but the people are not satisfied with the answers they're getting from Dr. Fauci and what happened during the jab, and they're not satisfied with the release of the Epstein documentation and what that all means. And those two things, along with everything else that's going on, and the rise of socialism and super communism, this has left this country twisting in the wind. I don't know how this can be rectified. Am I off base here?
You're on point. One of the issues is we have two sides of a two-sided ideology here. We have two bodies in the USA, for the most part, we have two bodies. One of the issues is that at some point, somebody's going to have to see the human factor again.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Not the political factor, but the human factor.
Yep.
And the people, and because right now there's a split. It's almost like the people who are on the Democrat side, they cannot see what the Republicans want. The Republicans, the people, the Republican people, they really can't see what the Democrats want, right?
Right.
Because they're supporting their base, which is something they do, but it's caused a blindness, a huge blind spot. Now, in this blind spot is an answer. And the only way we're going to have that answer is if somebody's going to have to step back and see everything. But if we have to see humanity as humanity again. We have to see that what we're doing is causing an internal war. And Pastor Paul, I have this statement I've uttered since we've met, that in prophecy, based upon what it states concerning Jerusalem, how in the world can that happen when America's in power? What happens to America that we cannot intervene to stop Jerusalem from being in some sort of issue, right? Concerning prophecy for 3.5 years. What happens to America that any sort of tyrant nation can go in there and set up the abomination of desolation? How can that happen with the USA in power? And the only way that could happen is if the USA's hands are tied up so much, they can't intervene. I believe we could be seeing this process underway right now.
There's a lot. You're exactly right, Mike. I'm glad you're bringing the Israel piece of this into this whole equation, the Jerusalem piece. The Bible told us in prophecy that Jerusalem would become this cup of trembling, a burdensome stone for all people. And right now, there's been a major push by Ben Gvir and some of the rabbis, some of the leaders in Israel to move forward with the third temple. Now, while they're pushing to do that, which is prophesied to happen in the Bible, the reaction from the Islamic world is not positive. We have a war going on already that's very trepidatious, and the scars of October 7th have not healed among the Israeli people, and so this is a big deal. I mean, what you're talking about, Jerusalem, at some point, it becomes the Gentiles trample for 42 months. They trample through Jerusalem. I mean, this is absolutely in the Bible. So, are we getting closer to that point in prophecy?
I believe we are. The USA's influence is vast right now. What's happening internally with the USA, Europe, and the UK is incredibly odd. We've not been here before. The world has not been here before. The Middle East is breaking down, and let's go ahead and face it, we're involved with so much internal strife within the USA.
Right.
The Western nations, period, are at odds. And something, we're going to begin to miss things, right? We have an enemy, Iran, which is consuming very expensive munitions, but very inexpensive tactics. They continue to do this. Something will likely happen to the oil. I'm glad I'm a believer in Christ, because I know this, what happens must happen for the sake of those who don't believe. And to wake up some believers before the body of Christ who is loyal. They're in good hands concerning these situations, but that brings everything much closer to home, because we've just not been here before. We've not been here before. We really
haven't.
We've never had a global situation like this ever before. Not ever.
No.
And it's beginning to, be a pretty good contrast between the kingdom of darkness and other elements that are being squeezed out. It's only a matter of time before the faith war shows itself in all lands. That's only a matter of time. We're going to face that faith war. Who thought they'd ever see that? that it would actually begin to form itself. So we're here in a time where not only things in the earth are happening like this, but geologically, things are happening. Atmospherically, things are happening. Everything is happening all at one time, in pace with each other. Seems like geology is tied to these deeds of people, and as they continue to have these arguments and fallouts, and as some push for peace and others are pushing for absolute destruction, we see that same type of push and pull thing in geology also, with eruptions, earthquakes. Weather has gone absolutely haywire. Conditions we've not had these conditions before, right? The West in the USA is burning up. Spain is having a big problem. It's just, there's some obvious changes if people would pay attention that are unbelievable to the average person, but in fact, they are prophetic indeed.
Mike, you're talking about some very powerful information here when you begin to compare climate and the geological changes and atmospheric changes, as you said, happening. The earth is groaning. The earth is moaning and groaning, and the wickedness among the people is accelerating. It's like, as you say, a combination. It's simultaneously happening, which is prophecy in the Bible. We're told that the earth will do this, and we're told that humanity will do what it's going to do in the end times. And we're seeing it play out exactly as Jesus made reference to it, and Paul talks about this in Hebrews chapter 12, that whatever is going to be shaken loose is going to be shaken loose, and that which remains will be that which is solid in Christ. And so we're in a big deal here. I mean, the sun is releasing solar flares. You're right. The fires are burning out of control. Canada, the West Coast, Spokane, Washington, Oregon, Northern California. I mean, we just continue to see these patterns. And now we're in a super El Nino year. The waters are about 3.1% or maybe a little more, 3.1 degrees warmer than normal and getting hotter. This typhoon's going to smash into China tonight in the morning with tons of water flooding in Okinawa, Japan from it. There's more typhoons forming, and I don't know. Do you have any idea what kind of hurricane season are we in for in the Atlantic side?
Oh my! Well, I do know there's going to be a disruption in the flow of the normal hurricane patterns. We're going to have a severe temperature change. Which will be some of the winds from Africa are going to act as a front. Some of the particulates of the Sahara will interrupt some of the flow of those fronts. That's going to cause big problems in the winter. If we do not act, we need to have those hurricanes to relieve some of the atmospheric pressures and some of your flow dynamics in the southern hemisphere of the earth. If that does not take place, winter is going to be something we simply can't prepare for.
You mean a really bad winter? You expecting a real bad winter?
Yeah, if we do not have freedom of flow in the southern hemisphere, meaning if we don't have the development of storms, right? Then the northern hemisphere is going to be clogged this winter. Imagine a storm in the winter that would rest over a state for about 4 days with the heaviest snow they ever had. So you're talking about 3, 4, 5 feet that could potentially fall in Carolina, for example.
Wow.
And then to have that back to back to back to back to back. And the rain that we're having right now, the 2-3 inches of rain, if that were snow, that would easily be 18 to 22 inches of snow, right? So 2 to 3 inches of rain, that pattern happening over and over again, that would equate to about, on average, easily about 22 inches of snow 3 or 4 times. So imagine the Carolinas, South Carolina, for example, having a snowstorm one day, 2 days later having another, 3 days later having another, right? And temperature swings that are supportive of ice and snow. So you get this, you get the snow melt only to freeze and then snow again with more ice. So we're also going to see environmental shifts of cold and hot regions. We're going to see that big time. In fact, it's happening already, which is why the West Coast of America, well, we went over that at the beginning of the year, that people had to prepare for fires and floods. And that the southern portions of the USA, they have to prepare for rain, right? Monsoons are forming. Monsoons are forming right now. These patterns are indicative of the weather patterns that we're going to have during the wintertime with the same and worse conditions. And people are not prepared for that because there's no way they have anything to compare it to. It's going to be rough.
Well,
So hurricane season is going to tell the entire story.
Yeah.
If we have hurricanes and that pressure can be relieved as far as the flow dynamics of the atmosphere, winter will be tolerable. But if it gets clogged up, so to speak, we're going to see that same pattern in the winter where storms stall over the USA, dropping unreasonable amounts of snow.
Mike, also, while we're talking about these weather patterns and these changes, we have Ebola now. This is the second worst outbreak of Ebola in history, over 4,000 cases, 1,800 people dead. That's a high percentage, which means this thing has mutated, and they admit that. But also we're hearing that AI now has jumped the rails and can now design and is designing brand new viruses. I'm not talking computer viruses. I'm talking it knows how to make new viruses that could be used on the human race. Why in the world? And what I'm hearing is, and you can help me. You would probably have a better information on this. That AI, these are AI doing AI super intelligence. It's not being directed by humans. It is a super intelligence, artificial intelligence that's doing this and is now working on. Is this part of the plan that AI wants to eliminate or do damage to the human race?
You know, when AI was in its infant stages, those who created AI attempted to warn the public about AI, but they knew the genie was out of the bottle.
Yeah.
You can't put it back in. For example, even if people right now are trying to stop AI, you have so many people vested in these data centers that are going up regardless if people agree with them or not. These data centers are in fact these huge nerve clusters of AI that are going up worldwide, which is making AI so much more smarter than what it was. And concerning viruses, back in 2011, 11, 12, and 13, you could actually order virus components to create brand new types of chimera viruses. And anybody could do that. You know, anybody could ask a country who had the resources, or a country could ask a group of scientists from a different country, hey, can you make a virus that does, you know, A, B, C, and D? You can actually order the components. So imagine, because these level 4 laboratories and beyond have already developed just about everything you can imagine, and they put them on ice. Just imagine having a list of viral components that you can actually order, put together, making some super virus of which there is no immunity, because they have those two that they bury at the bottom of the sea, or viruses they have dumped in undersea volcanoes, right? To so nobody else gets a hold of them. They have created things that they cannot stop. And there are viruses you can create that will simply just start to consume everything. We live in a time now where people can utilize AI has enhanced, by the way, the capabilities of these viruses about 700%. And I have to warn everybody about this. A common virus that humanity has an immunity to on the surface of the earth. They had an experiment back in the early 2000s. They took a virus to the International Space Station, a simple virus. This simple virus became 700 times more potent in space.
Wow.
Now, just think about that. We're not talking about a new super virus. We're talking about a common virus became 700 times more potent in space. Now, can you imagine if, and here's a danger that we face right now, we have been facing. These experiments absolutely took place. Imagine if a satellite, if somebody on the ground were sick with a common cold or something, they're building a satellite. They put together the internal components. No human being is in it. It's a little tiny satellite. They launch it. It's out there in space. But on the inside, the virus is growing. It becomes 700 times more potent. Then that same satellite comes back down into the atmosphere and the core of it survives, which has happened multiple times.
Right.
Anybody who comes in contact with that satellite, right, is going to catch something there is no cure for.
Wow.
Think of that.
Wow. And
So that's
happened.
without, intervention or creating some super bug. We've done that to the common cold because that scenario I just named to you is something that terrifies people right now.
Okay, Mike, now as we're on that vein, let's talk about why in the world, I understand that they're telling us that SpaceX, that rocket, that part of the Falcon 9 crashed into the moon, which I find just incredible. But it hit in the Einstein crater, which I found that to be very odd. Are we saying that this was just total accident? That this was a runaway rocket that smashed into the moon and hit the Einstein crater? Or was that thing directed? And if so, what would be the purpose of it? Are we still working on a way to deflect incoming asteroids and maybe not Apophis, but maybe there's something coming, deep impact, something that's on the way that we've never been told about and probably never going to be told about? Or why in the world would you run a rocket ship into the moon? Or did it just so happen miraculously crash into Einstein's crater?
Right, miraculously. Yeah. Well, Pastor, there are so many things that people have no idea about. Well, let's put it this way: they're spending trillions in space, and not for communication. They're spending trillions of dollars. They're paying everybody they can get their hands on to develop, not to explode some asteroid. It would be justifiable if they were actually spending money to redirect some asteroid long before it ever gets here.
Right.
Because the only way to redirect something that is a world killer is to intercept it at least 5 or 6 years before it ever gets here. Now, that means they have knowledge of things 5 to 6 years prior to getting here, right?
Yes.
Because the only way to alter the trajectory of something so large is to get near it, 4, 5, 6 years before it ever gets to Earth.
Right.
If that were the case, and it is the case because they're building things, sending things into space, then evidently they know about some things. And they know about the window. That's, 4, 5, 6 years before it gets here. By the way, the year of those windows began in 2016.
Really?
Right, so
okay.
They know of some things that are right around the corner. And it'd be nice if it were Apophis, but
it's not Apophis.
If you do the math, they have been desperately working on this before they even knew about Apophis and its final trajectories. So if it were just Apophis, great, we can do something about it. But no, they're working at breakneck speed and they're spending everything on it. And just to be, just so people understand, why is the public not being told? If the public knows we have an ability to intercept something 4 to 5 years before it ever gets here, other nations will say, why did you not warn us? And why can't we share the technology that you guys have? Because that goes into the military-industrial complex.
Right.
And the military-industrial complex is not going to suffer anybody to know its tactical advantage. They're just not going to do that because all these space-based initiatives deal with national defense. They can't do that. If the public knows, so does the enemy. If the enemy knows, then they're going to concentrate on stealing those ideas and plans. If that ever happens, the USA could end, the superpower status of the USA could be ended in less than a month. And we don't want that.
No.
So they'll never do that. The world will die before they share that, because there are evil people on this earth that people just don't know about. I'm talking about levels of evil beyond what anybody is used to, because the average person couldn't, I don't believe they'd stomach just how evil people can be. I don't believe they could stomach that, Pastor Paul. So many things are hidden, but it does give us insight that something is wrong somewhere. They are spending trillions in space. They're spending trillions on experiments like CERN. And what has CERN given us? What has space given us?
What has CERN given us? Let's talk about CERN. They shut CERN down now. It's not going to be running for 4 years, Mike. They're enlarging it. Hell's being enlarged also. I just find it really odd that you would build this machine on the very location where Apollyon was worshipped, and now Apollyon's got to come out of this bottomless pit. And why would you stick a Shiva, the god of the underworld, out front as a lawn ornament? I mean, that's the last thing I want for a lawn ornament is Shiva, the god of the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking scientists now. We're not talking some spiritual guru temple. We're talking about the brightest brains on the planet working on high-level experiments, crashing protons at the speed of light, coming up with the God particle, what they believe maybe is the building blocks of the foundation of the creation, and you got Shiva out front. So there's more going on there than what meets the eye. And how do you feel about this? That they got to have this thing ready by 2030. Is there anything there?
Yeah, first of all, I think it makes it obvious. Why is it that the greatest scientific minds are always involved in high-level esoteric things?
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, right?
Yeah.
He was heavily involved with the Vedic text. You have individuals here in the USA that are highly involved in the Sumerian tales. You have in the Vedic text.
Right.
You have some of the most expensive facilities that operate on a timeline that match what those ancient entities, their calendar they put forth. We're not talking about God's calendar, but we're talking about some of these ancient entities, which personally I believe are just portions of the fallen. And you have all these scientific minds that will always pay homage to them. There are also, one thing you may not know is this: why are all these scientific minds always involved in things like Dungeons and Dragons? A modern day Dungeons and Dragons would be something called Warhammer. Why would you have all these people involved in these things?
Warhammer.
It's when you find out about these things, it makes it obvious that these high-level minded scientists are right at the door of Satanism. I mean, at the door of Satanism.
Wow.
They spend the money behind it. They have the money behind it. There is no money being spent that's not connected to Satanism. And I mean real Satanism, not some guru stuff. I'm talking about the real deal.
Right. You're talking about...
So these guys are interested. What has CERN done for what has CERN done?
That's
what people should put
know.
together is that's part of an incantation to erect a monument to an ancient goddess is the first step in appeasing that god or goddess. That appeasement is followed by ceremonies that must be public. Everybody must know about it. So the protests will not stop the incantation. See, people don't agree with something. They can actually stop it. But if you put something in the public's face and the public says nothing about it, their quietness becomes their complicity with it.
Yeah.
In that case, because the world's not fighting it and they have knowledge of it, then these ancient entities, they're not going to be rejected and can utilize it. Whatever was supposed to happen has already happened. If CERN is going to sleep, they have achieved something. How about that?
Yeah.
They found what they were looking for. They also were looking at CERN, trying to see what they have done. But CERN has achieved one of the greatest breakthroughs in the modern times, and it has nothing to do with particle collisions. And it has everything to do with magnetism.
Talk about that. Why is that one of the greatest achievements of all time? Magnetism.
If you can control a magnetic field, a magnetic field is connected to memory, a magnetic field is connected to biology, a magnetic field is the key to everything. If you solve the components in a magnetic field, which they have not, and the only way to solve that is to make a huge magnetic field, begin to break it down, create something called memory magnetics. If you can do that, you're going to rule the world. If someone could create, for example, a piece of metal that could actually remember the magnetic field inch to inch of the atmosphere is looking through and could recall that, do you not know they could cause a physical, now listen, and this is going to sound strange, if somebody could do that with the memory of magnetic fields, they could cause the influences of a missile to be real without the missile.
Whoa. They could cause the memory of a missile to be real.
The physical interactions, right, with matter that a missile has. The physical interactions. They can recreate the entire thing
without a missile,
with magnetics, and not have any material whatsoever. Now, a lot of people would look at something like that and say, well, that's magic. No, that's not magic. That's the control of magnetic fields. And if you could develop that, right, in order to develop that, you would have to develop one of the strongest magnetic fields ever. You'd have to create a magnetic field that surpassed Earth big time. And then you would have to jump inside that magnetic field and study it piece by piece to learn the dynamics of it, and then recreate it, because magnetic fields alter from moment to moment, right? Microsecond to microsecond. But if you had something that can map that magnetic field and you could recreate it, Pastor, you can cause something to come from nothing without the something. So imagine an invisible missile that is made out of nothing but the control of magnetic fields.
Are we talking?
You can't find something like that.
Well, that's jumping dimensions. That's jumping time. You could.
Well, think of it this way. Right now, the only thing holding your desk together, your house together, all your clothes together, and everything else is a small, tiny nuclear force. That small, tiny nuclear force essentially is held together by light. That light has a magnetic field component to it, okay? If they had something that could map what all these little tiny magnetic fields are doing all at one time, right, and recreate that, if they could recreate your environment anywhere in the world at any given time, anytime they want. And then if somebody walked into it, they're gonna bump into your desk. They'll slam into it just like they're slamming into your desk. Without having matter, they can cause the properties of matter to be real everywhere, right? So imagine if they did this to a vehicle. Imagine if they recorded the magnetic influences of a vehicle moment to moment, right? So out on the highway, they recreate this. Nobody sees anything. They send a car that's made out of this as it's replayed back down the street. That car would collide with every other car, but nobody would ever see anything because there'd be nothing there. So essentially, somebody would be able to create anything they wanted to have a physical influence in this reality, right? Out of absolutely nothing but magnetic fields.
You're creating a new reality out of nothing. You're making something out of nothing. That's what God did when he spoke the world into existence. He created something out of nothing. What you're saying,
it wouldn't quite be that, but it would be good mimicry of that.
It would be
right?
it would be a shadow of it.
Yeah, it'd be a mimicry of that. And whoever does that, right? They're gonna run everything for real.
Yeah,
Because
you
you can't
really
fight
will.
something like that.
That's the most
They could put up a
powerful.
wall nobody could see,
That would be the
and
most
nobody
powerful
would be able to
thing in
penetrate that
history.
wall.
It'd be the most powerful invention in history. It'd be the
And
greatest.
there you go. There you are.
Greatest
There you are.
equation. Well, so CERN's doing a lot of things. They're playing in a minefield.
They perfected magnetism at CERN.
Yeah.
How do you keep, Pastor Paul, here's the deal, are you ready? How do
Yeah.
you keep one of the strongest particulates at one of the highest speeds to follow a line 1/1,000,000th the size of a human hair for miles, and it never deviates out? How do you keep that going in a small little tiny beam? You can only do that through magnetics.
Yeah, this is beyond bending light. This is beyond laser light or some other type.
Yeah, you're talking about perfect magnetics to hold something.
To hold
something in place like that, so it does not deviate beyond a specific percentage. You're looking at the beginnings of the perfection of that type magnetic influence.
So we're going into another level here of this the spiritual realm and the physical realm are intertwining now. We're crossing over into a different veil of reality, and that's kind of what God is saying, and that's why Christ is coming back to take us. The Bible says an angel put one foot on land and one on sea, and says time is no more. This is a whole new game. It's a whole new ball game now. The laws of gravity, the relativity, all of those, you throw them out the window. And that's what I'm hearing you say. You can throw all of the current understanding of how things operate, you throw it out the window. This is a whole new way. And so, the Bible says that when they were building the Tower of Babel, God said, he said, look, they have figured out how to climb into the heavens. I think that's more than just how tall the building was. I think it had to do with the scientific capabilities of energies. And are we about there again, that we can climb into the heavens, that we can surpass the laws of physics and enter into God's creative powers?
I still think man is too far away from the Father's creative powers. I still think we're playing in a sandbox. The problem is the fallen angels who tampered with mankind were bound up, they were destroyed, right? They corrupted everything. And why? Because they directly affected humanity, right? Nobody else ever did that. Nobody ever altered God's creation the way the fallen angels did. And here we have it again. We have these scientists who are motivated by only God knows what, who are about to alter humanity again. I'll say they have been helping to alter humanity again. People have undergone something. There are already physical changes in the physiology of mankind. There are physical changes in mankind all throughout the earth, and that's been happening for the last 10 years. So they have yet again tampered with God's creation in a very foul way, in a way where people are going to suffer the consequences of what they have done yet again, and the Lord's going to put an end to it. So, like the beast when he calls fire down from heaven inside of all men. Okay, that's not impressive to me. If somebody makes a laser hit a building, that's not very impressive. But if a person could control something to a degree where nobody has a defense against it, and the earth is suddenly subdued through this demonstration of some miraculous-looking technology, then mankind is in trouble again. And when mankind cannot overcome something, they've just lost dominion of the earth. So the fallen angels had children. The children had dominion. The fallen angels' children had dominion over the earth. Humanity lost it because it was overridden by something that was both spiritual and flesh. And here we are again. Mankind about to be overridden in their dominion over the earth, which means humanity will begin to fall in great numbers yet again. And the Lord's not going to suffer that this time. No. He won't suffer that this, so he's going to put an end to it. But all those who do agree with this this tyrant type of philosophy, they will gravitate towards or be subservient towards this new type of evil, right? They're going to build it up. It will constitute a kingdom of unnatural evil. And then that will be the end of that. But I do believe we're beginning to see the formation of it. The parts that were for a long time a mystery to most.
Unbelievable. Mike, it really is. Mike, coming into next year, next week, by the time we come on, what is your concerns between now and next week? What is your biggest concerns of what may be going to take place on the planet, and what we need to be watching for?
Well, the past we have fault line instabilities like we never had before. The coast plate keeps vibrating. That's a major concern for me. Of course, that's the champagne cork. It's starting to move. If people continue on this destructive path, the Earth is going to face some sort of alteration, period. Right? It's always going to go hand in hand with what humanity is willing to live with. If they're willing to live with the evils that are forming in this world, and because everything is public, and because people have that choice, and it seems like more and more people are willing. They're just so willing to live with an evil. There's going to be a massive change. There's going to be a wake-up call, so to speak, and there will be mishaps concerning it. So geology is one big thing, and that includes cracks in the earth, volcanism. I believe these fires in California, for example, are a warning, right? Wherever people see these fires, and I would do everything not to go back. Though it just so happens these fires have broken out the same places ancient volcano systems are. And they're going to go, and when they start going, nothing will survive those areas. How about that? So, and also, likewise, the flooding. Some of these places where the floods are taking place, these low-lying areas, people are not going to be able to build back in these places pretty soon due to the sheer amount of water that will begin to overtake things. So we're looking at geological processes that are unavoidable and atmospheric processes that are unavoidable. And the last one that I'm concerned about is a mistake, a military or a tactical mistake that's going to cost people many lives. That could be the failure to see terrorism in the UK, or it could be an accidental ignition of something, or the release of something that's going to cost millions of lives. I can't even shake that millions of people will soon just drop dead. That will be the end of that, all at one time. So that's of great concern. There are many complexities to war, to the situation that we're in right now.
Yes.
And one wrong move with what the weapons we have brought to bear, one wrong move, whether it be chemical, biological, or nuclear, one wrong move can cost millions of lives,
Mike,
in an instant.
Yes, and I agree with you that these are the key points that you've brought up tonight. And so, and then this next week, there's a lot we have to watch very closely and a lot to pray about. It's getting very, very intense. The prophecies of the last days are certainly coming into play. Things we never even dreamed of, we're watching now develop.
COT's base of operations is right here at thecouncilofTime.com. COT has no other outlet or venue. These are other folks who will rebroadcast. Anything COT does is by the main page here at thecouncilofTime.com.
Notice also in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boastful, proud, blasphemers. It takes the grace of God to change us, folks. How can you be saved if you're not willing to repent? And the Lord Jesus Christ said, except you repent, ye shall all likewise perish.